Hello, and it's a real pleasure to be here today talking with Clare Rawlings. Well, it actually says on your little Zoom name there, it says Raw Movement, and it's there. So that's a bit of a clue to what it is we're going to talk about. Because often when I'm talking to people who are either school leaders or who work in schools, but you started working with schools, haven't you? And
Yes,
or with schools and school leaders particularly. And what I find so fascinating is that you're actually literally talking to them about how to move. I mean, why is that?
yeah. Well, it started out really because in lockdown, I started to work with the colleagues on ways to move more, because we all found ourselves stuck in front of a screen. And my background was in teaching as well. And when I was a teacher, I found that it was frustrating sometimes that children were always asked to sit down to learn.
Mhm.
And I was quite the opposite of that when I taught, and always encourage them to move around. So I've kind of combined my career in IT with my teaching career, and then I've started to reach out and work with schools around how they design their day around movement. Because I think when you get into the workplace, a lot of people don't really understand how to continue to move. They were kind of preconditioned to sit down to learn and to do stuff.
And what do you mean by movement? Because I mean, should we be running around, or what is it? What is movement?
Yeah, so I see sort of moving as your whole day, and then exercise. So a lot of people confuse exercise with movement, and I actually see exercise as a small part of our whole movement. And when I think about movement, I think about, like, your body is made functionally to move. You're not really designed to sit on a chair or a sofa for long periods of time. And therefore I think about, how do you fill your day with movement and still get stuff done? And that's where my focus is when I work with schools and companies and businesses and stuff. Yeah.
So how do you fill your day with movement and still get work done? I mean, I'm feeling very sedentary at the moment, so I'm sort of like flexing my feet. I noticed you're standing, actually, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's true. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you? What advice would you give to school leaders about their schools, about their staff? How do you do it?
Well, I think so. I think there's two things. One of them is, we never really examine the way that we move as an individual, how we stand, sit and move in the day. So I kind of work with the leaders to look at that, because you find that teachers have lots of back problems, and a lot of it is to do with how they walk, stand and move throughout the whole day. So I do a bit of that, watching, observing, and then teaching them around how to stand better. I mean, it sounds crazy, and they might say to you, well, I know how to stand, it's natural, but what you put on your feet and how you stand has a big impact on your body. And you find that teachers have a high rate of musculoskeletal problems. I think it's like the highest reason why teachers are off work. So they're a good place to start, because they move in the same way every day. So if you spend a bit of time to show them how to move a bit better, then they might alleviate that pain.
And people carry a lot of stress, don't they? I mean, school leaders, school teachers, school staff generally, because they're such high-paced environments often. You can carry a lot of stress. I mean, how do you stop people doing that?
Yeah, I
or
mean, but it's
changing?
a whole well-being issue, but I focus on physical well-being, and yeah, it's just learning to move. I think when people move more as well, that stress is taken away. If you think so. So when I was a teacher, I used to do a clean-up song, and we used to have a really funky song playing, and I
Yes.
used to get the kids to dance along and clean up to it.
Mm.
And just that, like 4 minutes of dancing around, tidying up, brings lots of energy and will relieve stress. And you know, there are lots of ways to relieve stress, but movement, I think, is one of the nicest things. So for example, again, if you were to go on a walk in your lunch hour, even if it's just walking around the school field or the school playground, you know, reaching your arms up, there's loads of things that you can do to sort of diversify how you move. And that's another thing, is that people move in the same way day after day. It's around changing that thinking to like, oh, I've not moved my arms today, so let's do some arm movements, or let's reach up and hang off a bar if you've got a hanging bar at school, you know, those kinds of things. Really small things, not great big things where you need to get changed and start to do a yoga class at lunchtime. Just things that you think, oh, I'm going to balance on one leg now for the next 20 minutes, you know, while I'm talking about something, or I'm going to get the kids to have a little dance round, or I'm going to get them to sit on the floor, because floors, you know, that's how I operate on this desk, is a standing up desk. And I also get on the floor because we're actually made to be
all the way down
on the floor. So this goes right down. And I sit on a bolster. So imagine a classroom with no chairs and tables and bolsters and cushions for kids to sit on the floor, and staff would be really good for everybody's backs.
So what I'm hearing you say then, that it doesn't matter how you move, as long as you don't keep moving in the same way, but you keep so you're mindful and of that, and mindful of moving in different ways. What advice would you give to school leaders about how to lead the way in this?
I suppose it's the exact same as the workplace. I mean, for a lot of people, they don't really understand what it means to move more. So for me, I would come into school and I would show people how to move more in really small ways in their whole day. But
let's give me some examples. Give me some examples of that.
So some examples would be balancing on one leg. I mean, during the day, carrying things in the right way. So lots of people will carry sort of books and stuff, and they won't realize that they're going like this all the time to hold up books, when actually they should be using their arms and the muscles in their arms, but they actually use their lower back, you know, and they end up with a bad back. And you know, there's lots of things. So you know, at lunchtime, if you could walk, how you walk upstairs as well. So the big thing that I find is that people lean forward into the stairs and they kind of drag themselves up the stairs, when really, if they learn to use their glutes more, they'll be stronger and they'll go straight up on each step. So I
don't think I even think about how I go up the stairs. Now that's
so that's why a lot of people have bad knees, because they don't think about the step, and they don't understand how to use their glutes to go up a step. They just lean into it. So there's lots. And so I and for me, like teaching, I always had the start of the day with something where the children moved when they came into the classroom. So we would maybe design a sequence of moves together, a little dance, and it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're, you know, in the last year of school, it would be really good to learn something to do first thing, you
Yes.
know, when you go into your form tutor, maybe a sequence of stretching, maybe to the side, just to feel a bit better. And you know, the younger kids can actually design what they want to do, and then they could take it in turns, and one could lead, and then you could have that as a school kind of warm up. You know, that place where I went where I go on my holidays, La Santa, they have an 8 o'clock warm up, and the whole place comes out for it, and it's so, and it's really fun, and it's really vibrant, and it starts off the day in a really nice day. You know, instead of coming into the classroom and being sat on a chair and moping around on your hands, you know, the whole class could get up and move together. Yes, there's lots of ways to do stuff, but
sounds like you're on a bit of a mission here.
Yeah, 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 I'm passionate about it. I think, you know, school actually takes away movement from you, and you're conditioned through your school years to learn that to be part of something, you need to sit down. So when you have a meeting, you sit down. When you're working hard, you sit down. When you're learning something, you sit down. And I just think it's really quite wrong. And I think retraining children to think more about moving as they learn will really they can then take that into the workplace. And now we're finding that well-being is the in thing at work, isn't it? But people really don't understand how to look after themselves, because they don't feel the energy of moving, because we've all been conditioned to go in the gym after work for 20 minutes, you see.
But that's exercise, not movement.
But people don't, so they think that their movement is allowable in the exercise bit, and they're forgetting that the whole day needs movement too. So
I'm guessing from what you're saying that something as simple as kind of moving and stretching our hands and wrists and shoulders, or anything like that, would actually be beneficial. Yeah, especially now that we're on screens more. So I've helped a lot of people with necks, because and you can see it with kids with their phones. They just have this neck lunge, and they don't realize that their head weighs a lot, and it's a big issue. And also, when you're holding a phone or you're holding a mouse, the tension in your hand goes up to your shoulders. So all this kind of phone work, close work, I think it's going to cause a lot of problems in a few years' time. And you can already see it with a lot of people. Their postures like this, and my kids are the same, unfortunately. Well, you've
for
got
all
work
my
to do.
ranting, they don't listen.
Well, I think many school leaders would say that although their children may not listen to them, other people do. So it's been great just chatting with you now, Claire. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
It's given an insight into it. What I'm taking away from this is the need to put little movement into daily activity, from sitting at the screen, or meeting other people in school, or whatever it is I'm doing. Then just to put other extra bits of movement. And what are you doing now? I'm trying to work out. You're doing something with your feet now.
So I'm standing on on my bouncy ball, right, with my weird socks on that have got toes in them. So I massage my feet as it were, because it's really good for your feet to move them around.
Anyone can do this at any time. And actually, what I'm hearing is not a nice to have. It's really important. And it's something that as I often say, if school leaders don't do this, how on earth can we expect other people to follow? And what kind of example are we setting for children and staff? So look, thank you so much for that, Claire. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you. I'm away to move a bit more now.